We're in for a treat today, let me tell you. It's going to be really, really good. We're going to be joined by the amazing chef, restaurateur, author, Sami Tamimi, who works with Ottolenghi and has written books with him, writes books with other people as well, and he's rather amazing. So we're looking forward to him joining. I'm hoping he's going to ask to join me, and that would be great. He knows we're going live. I'll just ask him again. When we get there, it's going to be a goodie. I hope you're all enjoying these, and they're adding a little bit of knowledge, fun, pleasure to your lockdown or lessened lockdown. It seems to be changing a little bit at the moment, but I know that everyone's still enjoying cooking very much and getting nice things together for everyone. So it's a good thing to have done. Wasn't it amazing listening to Alistair yesterday from Australia? I loved hearing his Soho stories after, as a young person, eating in his restaurant many times. It was a real treat, and it was sort of British food that blew me away just because of the freshness and the deliciousness of it. And oh, that's so kind. Victoria's just said, this live is the highlight of my day. I'm so happy. I hope you've got a glass of wine. I've got a glass of water because I have a glass of wine afterwards. Right, Sami, I'm hoping you're there. I've sent you messages. If you'd like to request to join me, that might work better. I know that you're active now. So, Sami, can you ask to join me on Cookbook Live? We are on Cookbook Live. I'm hoping he knows it's on Cookbook Live. That's all I've ever spoken to him through. If not, we'll just see what happens. But his new book, Palestine, looks amazing, and I can't wait to talk to him about it. Aha, Sami, you're there. Thank you very much. If you request to join me, I think that works. Perfect. With an amazing man, and we're very excited. He's a great, great chef, and I've followed him for a long time. Hello, Sami.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Thank you very, very much for joining us at the Cookbook Festival live on our Insta that we started up. Can I just introduce you?
Yes, sure.
You're really famous. Everyone knows who you are. But
well,
this is Sami.
not everybody.
Well, they should, because your food's delicious.
Okay.
This is Sami Tamimi, who grew up in Palestine, in the east side of Jerusalem, in a foodie family, didn't you?
Correct,
And
yeah.
you're a restaurateur and a chef and an author. And you could almost say, well, you're the executive chef of Ottolenghi.
Well, I was part of the whole company. We started the Ottolenghi together, and over the years, the roles changed, and I'm happy cooking. So I stayed behind, and Jotam wanted to be the front man, and yeah, so from there is kind of history.
How did you meet each other, can I ask you?
I used to work in a food shop in Knightsbridge called Baker and Spice.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, I worked there for a couple of years, and then he came in, I remember, on a scooter looking for a job as a pastry chef. And
Well, he was looking for a job?
Yeah, he moved from Amsterdam to London. Yeah, he was looking for a job, and I just kind of said, let me just talk to the manager, because it was kind of a divided kitchen between us. And I remember kind of she saying, no, we're not looking, but leave your details. We always need chefs. And we started chatting. We just kind of went out, and he just said to me, you have a kind of a strange accent. Where are you from? And I said, I'm Palestinian. Oh my God. And like, we started kind of chatting, and then we became friends after a while. And then he applied again for a job and got it. And we worked together for 2 years at Baker and Spice. This is how we met.
Gosh, and during that time you became better best friends, and you were thinking, listen, we can do our own thing. We can do
No,
something.
yeah, we can dream in and thinking about opening something with friends as well. And then Noam Bar, he used to be Yotam's boyfriend then, said, why don't you guys open a place on your own? And I just kind of don't have any money. I was like, how can you? So they managed to get friends and family to help with, setting it up. And they asked me, and I was at the beginning like, I'm not sure. It's, they're my friends, and it might go wrong. At the end, I went. It took me like 2 weeks to accept. And yeah,
I love this. This is brilliant. And can you tell me how many
80,
cafes and how many restaurants have you got now?
we have 3 proper restaurants,
yeah,
and 3 delis.
Okay, so your restaurants are Nopi?
Nopi, Rovi, we have Ottolenghi Spitalfield, it functions as a restaurant. And then we have a deli in Knightsbridge or Belgravia and Notting Hill, and Islington, which is kind of half a deli, half a restaurant.
And your one in Notting Hill was your first one, wasn't it?
Correct. This is where we started the whole thing.
That's your little baby.
Yeah, and it's still, I have kind of a soft spot for the place.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
That's such a lovely story to hear. Thanks for sharing it. So you and Yotam wrote Jerusalem, Ottolenghi, and your latest book that you've written with Tara Wigley is called Palestine. And I love the fact
it's actually called Palestine.
Palestine, sorry, because there is no F in the Arabic language.
No, there's no P.
P. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. I'm getting it all wrong. Sorry.
It's okay. If you ask Palestinian where you're from, he will say Palestine and not Palestine, because they can't pronounce the P as well. Quite often when you talk to an Arab person, they will use the B or the F instead of the P. So they will say, I don't know, like park, they will say bark.
Okay, that's interesting. But you grew up in a foodie family, but it was a female foodie family, and you were always sneaking into the kitchen to find out what was going on as a child, and you were always being told, go away, this is where the women work.
Correct. I mean, it's still to the days, kitchens are ruled by women, and the more dominant around, and it's not a place for a man. And until recently, things started to change, and men kind of. But I think Middle Eastern men are a bit lazy.
Well, we're really happy you're over here, and you came to cook for us.
And it's very unusual for a boy to sneak in and trying to see what's happening in the kitchen. And also, apart from the cooking, also there's a lot of gossiping, and there's quite a lot of things that the boy are not supposed to hear as well. So yeah,
it's the center of the family life.
Yes, exactly. And they will always kind of talk about food, and they will be sitting having a meal and talking about what's the next meal or what's coming in the season. Season is a kind of a big deal in Palestine and Jerusalem, where they celebrate the season. I mean, here in England we don't really have that so much, but something kind of in the season, they buy it and celebrate with it, and they want to preserve it or dry it, or nowadays also freeze things to keep them going for the rest of the year.
That's amazing. And so you helped open up all the Ottolenghi places?
Correct.
So you've grown together in your friendship and in your business?
Yeah. Well, pretty much we took our time. We didn't open. We just kind of went from one to one. It's kind of organically grown, but we didn't want to expand too much because it's still the four of us kind of running the whole thing behind the scene. Of course, a lot more people added every time you open a place, but it's still the four of us that manage the whole thing, and we didn't want to lose control of things. And
Okay.
a lot of people do this mistake where they open very quickly too many and they can't handle it, and it might, somebody else will buy it and then they lose it or just collapse because they can't handle
Yeah.
the pressure.
And they lose the personality and the specialness of it and the control of the
Exactly.
food being exactly what they want it to be,
Yeah. And
because it
also
becomes a brand.
well, we are a brand, we're a very strong brand in the food industry, but we also know that, it takes a lot of effort and hard work to get to a certain level, and you want to keep that. You can't just kind of let go and loosen it.
Well, a lot of effort, I say, goes into your cakes, your lunches. I often go to your places and, they look exquisite, and they really shook the cake market up, and the way people present things, and
Mm.
the layering of flavors and the scatterings of spices and additions that we hadn't seen before. I don't think you sort of, well, it just exploded here
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
UK, your
Baker's
food.
Spice was the beginning of all the journey. And we wanted to do something that, it kind of kind of give you the feeling of being in a market where you go in and all these colors and textures and uh, flavors and smells kind of withdraw you because it's a kind of white canvas and this is what you see. Um, and it was very important from the beginning and still important to the day.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So can we talk about Palestine, your
Yeah, of
book
course.
that you've
Yeah.
co-written with Tara Wigley? I just love what I've seen of it, because it's intertwined recipes with stories. And
Yeah.
I think you were lucky enough, or Tara was lucky enough, to go with you into people's houses and get real recipes from you as the authentic person. And
Yeah.
she observed and intertwined stories and tested and helped write the recipes. So she
Yeah.
saw it from an outsider's perspective, and you're the insider.
Yeah, it was when we started. It was two journeys in one, and I just remember the first time we went to Palestine, how kind of different we see each things. I mean, it's a kind of it's very uh, complex, the life there, and
Mm.
being able to navigate around it and understand it. And it was quite tough. Tara went before me on a kind of culinary tour, and she met some people, so she was kind of familiar. Um, but it's an amazing journey because she managed to sometimes not even speak the language because a lot of people don't speak English, to put it in words and to write about it, which is a really really amazing. And for me, it was going back home and to quite a lot of familiar and the food and the people and the situation and everything.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we do. I think we do a very good team together.
I think you most probably do. And I just love the way, so your food is very approachable. That's what you wanted it to be. You wanted it to be more everyday, easy midweek, as well as a few treats.
Exactly, because people don't have it. I mean, nowadays with all the mess that we have, people do have time. But even then, even now, people don't want to spend 3 hours doing one dish. They want to wrestle something really flavorsome, delicious, and slightly kind of unknown and exotic, and do
Yeah.
it in 20, half an hour. I mean, we have some complex recipes in the book, and people are really, really making the effort and doing them now
Yeah.
and loving them. And I know that people will go back to them, but like rolling vine leaves for 3 hours and then it'll be eaten in 5 minutes. And and people don't really have this time, or just kind of really deep, a lot of deep frying, a lot of sugar, a lot of kind of fatty, and we don't eat like this anymore. I
No,
mean,
no.
we want it to be flavorsome and colorful. That's another thing about Palestinian food, where Palestinian food is really delicious because of all the ingredients that they use and the connection with the land and the farming and everything. But a lot of it is brown and beige, and we had to kind of. I remember one
But
day it's like,
Jules,
what do we do? I mean, so you take some elements of the dish and use them as a garnish, like for example, chilies and coriander and lots of herbs. And we didn't use so much pomegranate seeds
okay.
um, because
I,
we want to avoid as much. Because every second book now have pomegranate seeds, and I love them, but I think nowadays we kind of overdone them.
well, they have a place, but not every night.
I
Let's
mean,
say they
we
do look
do have
beautiful.
them in a couple of dishes that they are necessary because the dish have pomegranate or
Yeah,
juice or
yeah,
molasses,
yeah.
but not just to scatter them on everything.
But you sort of took classical recipes and then you rewrote them. And sometimes I know you sort of niggled with each other about this, but Tara was the one saying, no, the housewife with the children back in England won't make it if you make it your way. So it was
Yeah,
a journey.
yeah, it's a journey, and I'm because I'm Palestinian. I'm very loyal
Oh,
to the dishes and to the heritage and to what they present these dishes. But we got to a deadlock, and it's like I remember just kind of having an argument and like, okay, so what do we? I mean, then you realize actually who's gonna buy the book? All the people that know the dishes. They don't need a cookbook to cook them. And our uh, fans and people that will buy the book are people that are not so familiar with the food, and but they don't want to stand half a day in the kitchen doing one dish.
no,
So
you're opening your food up to a broader audience.
yeah, and then so we started to uh, without losing the essence and without being loyal to the dish, you extract some of the flavors and turn them around. So it's a you basically have the flavors, you have all the experience, but without all the huge list of ingredients and yeah,
No, that's
time,
good.
time.
Can I ask you, because I heard there was a little bit of, did quinoa make it into the book or is it not in the book?
No. I I think Tara is like we eat quite a lot of wheat and bread and um, grains and I don't remember what this we were doing, and she's what I think it was the tabbouleh, and
Yeah.
she said, what if people would want to use quinoa? And I said, they can decide. I mean,
Oh, okay.
she did sneak it into the book, but I said to her, it's not an ingredient the Palestinian use, and you just can't have it. And it's like, we don't have quinoa in Palestine. Um, so yeah, it was a funny thing to happen.
Okay, I've got lots of people saying my book has arrived today. Thank you, thank you. And
Thank you very
someone's
much.
just turned around and said, I'd love to know how Sami went about collecting his recipes. Are they family recipes?
Most of them are. I've been collecting recipes all my life. This is my life. Cooking is
You're
my
a
life.
chef.
And yeah, and I had piles and piles of papers, and I remember just sitting down and putting everything in a file on a computer. Uh, Even when I have an idea of the recipe, which call up my sister, do you know how to do that? No, let me ask the neighbor. So it goes like that, where most of them are family recipes.
Okay, and your sister helped you, did she?
She did help a lot. She cracked and she helped us a lot. She's very good with pastry and
Oh.
savory and sweet,
Mm.
and one pastry that we used few times in the book, it was hers. So
Oh,
yeah, you just call, and also sometimes I know what's the dish, but you don't know what's the name or what exactly goes into it, and this is where it's kind of helpful.
yeah, because you can't eat everything.
No.
Um, can you just tell? So in the book, you've got salads, soups, whole grains, fluffy breads, one pot foods, and perfumed sweet treats. And then you've
Yeah.
also got sort of like sauces or side dishes. I don't know what you call it, like harissa and dishes with tahini sauces.
Yeah, spreads,
Talk to us
spreads,
about
and
tahini, because the tahini, we didn't know about it in this country 10 years ago, but now everyone has a jar of it and it's available in the supermarkets. You don't have to go to the Middle Eastern store to buy it.
yeah, and we keep banging on getting Lebanese or Palestinian tahini because it's much smoother. It's not clanky. It's pale. It really nice and nutty, and you don't have to kind of scrape the bottom of the jar. I personally don't like the ones that comes from Cyprus and
Oh, okay. So,
big.
yeah,
I just find them a bit too grainy, and they're not as smooth and nutty.
because you make it by soaking sesame seeds and then the husks float to the top. Is that right?
No, this is we don't make tahini. Nobody makes tahini.
Okay, you just buy it. You just
Yeah,
buy it.
yeah, you
No,
just have to
okay.
buy it.
But it can be used in ice creams. Like I've never, and you can use it in sweet things. It's not just savoury, is it?
Yeah, it because of the nuttiness, it's almost like a peanut butter. So in the morning, you can also have it on a toast with a bit of jam or molasses. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it makes a really good ice cream. And we did these tahini cinnamon rolls in the book. They're delicious. Everybody's making them at the moment.
Can we see your
And
dog?
no, they're outside
Oh, okay.
because they will make a lot of noise, and I just kind of kept them outside.
Oh, I
They're
thought you
very
were,
cute.
sorry, I thought you were stroking your dog just
No,
then. I
no,
thought
no,
it had jumped up. Yeah,
no.
that's okay, don't worry. And also, another thing that you've brought into everyone's kitchens, because they've seen it in restaurants, because you started, I can't say this properly.
Zadar,
Shakshuka
shakshuka,
eggs.
yeah, yeah, shakshuka.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's not a typical Middle Eastern dish because it comes from North Africa, from Tunisia originally, and each country kind of borrowed the idea and they do their own kind of dish.
yeah.
Ours is kind of a little bit more scrambled and not as spicy. Uh, People love it. I mean, I love it as well because it's so easy. I mean, you can just grab anything from the fridge, chop an onion, a bit of tomato, and break eggs, and you can feed from 2 to 20 people. It takes the same effort, and it's so
Wow.
delicious. And it's
And
also it looks really impressive as well.
you can make it red or green, can't you?
Or yellow or brown.
Okay, whatever vegetables you want.
Yeah, I mean, I did it the other day with refined beans, Mexican refined beans. I just kind of cooked them down and then added bits of vegetables to them, and then you just break the eggs in them. So it's really delicious.
And you don't keep your eggs whole, you sort of mix them through so they're a bit sort of
Yeah,
broken up.
you can do, you can leave them whole, or you can just need to make sure that the white is cooked, so you kind of swirl around.
Okay, and do you put yogurt or Middle Eastern yogurt in there?
You do Lebanese, you do again tahini mixed with some lemon juice and garlic. Yeah,
Wow, that sounds
delicious.
delicious. And that's perfect lockdown food, isn't it?
Yeah, and also shakshuka is a good thing to have to do because you can use whatever you have. I mean, even if you have tinned vegetables, you can use.
So it's really flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And in your book, you go to various amazing places and meet amazing people. And I was very interested about the refugee camp in Bethlehem. And you met
Islam.
these. women who are doing cookery classes.
Yeah, Islam, she's a wonderful lady. Um, she have a disabled kid, and in the camp, there's nowhere she can send him. There's no school. So she started cooking with people, or cooking for people to start with, and then cooking with people, and then she progressed to actually teach people how to cook Palestinian dishes. And like this, she managed to help her son and also other kids in the camp. And now they have a school for disabled people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really inspiring. And she's a very humble person. When we met her the first time, she didn't speak much English. Second time, it was a stretch of few months, she was already speaking English, and she didn't go to school. She just kind of taught everything, and she's doing so well, and everybody kind of talking about how lovely she is, and how they learning new dishes from her, and she just sit there, and she's so humble and lovely, and she just
Oh,
wanted to do something for the community and for her kid.
so she's just teaching these children. I read also that she sometimes teaches people who come in who want to learn something, like me.
Yeah, I mean, people from abroad now, they come to her to cook with her. So she does these kind of workshops where they all cook together, and then at the end, they just sit down and have the food together. And it's just really, really lovely to have.
Gosh, you can't imagine these villages within a refugee camp, but there are businesses.
And
And
this is what people kind of, when you say a refugee camp, people have in their head kind of bombs, but actually they are normal people and kids with like the coolest jeans, and they all have mobile phones, and they fall in love and eat and cook, and it's kind of it's just normal kind of life. It's a bit different
yeah, just
than our
contained,
normal
but
life. Yeah,
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 yeah, no,
exactly.
that's, and I also, the olive oil. Tell us about the olive oil from your region.
Palestine. It's a very, very lovely olive oil. I mean, unlike, the Italian and the Spanish or the European variety, it's a lot more robust and grassy and
Mm,
green. And it's so delicious. And um, it's really, really special. And it's to do, with the land and how they harvest, and everything kind of done by hand. There's no machineries to, um, to do it. And it's just one of the best olive oil. I mean, you can get it here. It's a bit expensive because of the whole trade and exporting it and all that and taxes. But wherever I see it, I just buy it because it's so lovely.
and it's just a Palestinian olive oil, or is there a
Yeah.
particular one you'd recommend?
I mean, we work with a company called Zaytoon,
Okay, I know them.
and yeah, and they fair trade and import things from um, Palestinian farmers and sell them in the UK.
Yeah,
And
they import dates as well, don't they?
dates and almonds and maftool. Um, what else? They're gonna start. They have za'atar as well, mix, and olive oil.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
are some satires more, no, sumac I'm thinking of, more lemony than others?
You have to be careful. Read the label as well, because sometimes they add to it citric acid.
Okay.
So, and
Oh,
you want to avoid that. I mean, I understand why they add it, but there's no need for it, because sumac like a spice. It's a berry, and it
yeah.
keeps for a long time. So you don't. They add the citric acid for extra tartness, and also I think it
Okay.
helps the color slightly.
Okay. And tell us what satire tastes like and what's that made of?
Za'atar is it's people say it's thyme. I think it's a same family as oregano,
Oh,
and
okay.
the leaves looks exactly the same. They basically pick them, dry them, and then they kind of coarsely grate them, and they are mixed with toasted sesame seeds, sumac, and slight tomato salt.
Wow.
and
Well,
it's really delicious.
gosh, we've got so many questions here, but I'm just going to continue talking to them because I can't talk to you. You're so exciting to talk to. This is so good. What's one of your favourites? So if you're at home and it's Christmas or it's a celebration, what is a celebration meal that's cooked?
I would probably do a couple of mains. I never do a starter. I just put everything in the middle of the table and people
Much easier.
help us say yeah. And also there's no room for error as well when you cook like this. I just kind of put big platters and little things on the side, and people just help themselves, and they can actually decide what they want to have. So I would do maybe the chicken musakhan from Palestine, which is a caramelized, lots of caramelized onion with sumac and a pita bread with topped with roasted chicken. It's delicious. It's drizzled with tahini or with yogurt. Or we have the makluba, which is the inverted rice cake. It's delicious with broad beans and different vegetables, and it looks really impressive. And you do one like that, it takes time to do, but actually when you manage to do it, it feeds a lot of people. And all
it's
you
golden.
need is,
When you turn it out, it's got a crisp sort of crunchiness to it, hasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. I was taught to do that by someone from the Middle East years ago when I was cooking for a private family, and she came in and showed me. And it had lamb and coriander and apricots and almonds in.
No, that's the Persian one.
Ah, they were a Persian family, you're right.
Yeah.
You could see my geography. So what would you put in yours?
It normally have aubergine, cauliflower, lamb or chicken, and they finish it with lots of nuts. The one that we have in Palestine, it's got beans and broad beans and potatoes and what else? Butternut squash.
Okay, delicious.
Yeah.
And so you do that, and then what would you do? This would be like a feast for Christmas or whatever. And do you have a dessert that's your sort of go-to?
I always do the pistachio harissa. It's a kind of semolina cake, drenched with syrup. It's really yummy. In the summer, you can just kind of scoop of clotted cream or just sour cream next to it. It's really, really delicious. The Lebanese cheesecake is delicious, and you can make it in advance. It's instead of using cheese, we did it with strained yogurt, so you get this kind of slight tartiness to it.
And do you make any of your own yogurts or your own milks or cheeses?
I do the Lebanese. I buy the Greek yogurt and add salt to it and then hang it. But no, I don't do cheese. I don't have time for it.
You're too busy. No, that sounds amazing. And can I ask you about aubergines?
Aubergine, oh my God. Everybody's favorite. They are so lovely. I mean, aubergine is one of these things that they are so versatile, and they're full of flavor, but also they're really good as a sponge. They just so many flavors that you cook them together. The one, there's two types of cooking them. One is roasting them, and the other one is burning them on a open flames until they kind of fall to apart, and then you just gently peel them or scoop the meat out, and you can add it to anything. I mean, I sometimes do it with the scrambled eggs in the morning or next to on a toast with a little bit of walnuts and olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. It's really delicious.
That sounds delicious. You see, we don't use enough nuts in our cooking, I don't think. We use ground almonds and walnuts on coffee and chocolate cakes. But you just put them in everything. It's really nice, and they do add texture as well as flavour.
Yeah, exactly. And they're very, very good for you as well.
Extremely good.
Yeah.
And, well, as tahini is really good for you, isn't it? It's got more protein in it than milk and cheese and various things like that.
Yeah.
And so then another thing I wanted to ask you about aubergines, big or little?
It depends what you do with them. I think the bigger the better if you want to do burning aubergine.
Yeah.
Small ones are good for pickling or stuffing and frying. They're much easier. Um, you don't really find good small aubergines here in the UK. They're
Okay.
normally
Really?
quite bitter, so you have to be careful what you buy.
Okay. And they should be firm, but have a little bit of give and
Yeah,
a nice shiny skin.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bigger, the better, I think.
Okay. Big aubergine, says Sammy, everyone. I'm
Yeah.
liking that. People are liking your aubergine tips.
Good.
And you can roast them over a raw flame, can't you? Or
You
you can
can, you
either
can, you can also barbecue them. You can stick them under a grill in the oven. You can do them on a griddle pan as well if you have a good extractor or just kind of air
yeah.
kitchen because they make a lot of smoke. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can deep fry them, you can roast them, you can do add them to a stew.
Yeah. Before you added them to a stew, would you saute them off, or would you just chop them up and add them to cook in the stew and absorb all the
No,
juices?
I would always cook them before.
Okay, so
Like if
that's
you roast them
yeah.
properly, because when you add aubergine to stew, that they are again like sponge and they soak everything, but they don't cook properly.
No, they're just like a sponge, as you say, and it's
Yeah.
not a nice texture. So it's good to roast them or fire them, or and do you make baba ganoush in the book?
We call it mtabal, which is almost the same thing.
Okay.
Um, Very straightforward. It's delicious. I mean, I make it all the time because it's so easy to make, and I have a green egg, so I just use it.
Oh, you have a
Just
big green egg. They
yeah,
are amazing.
they are, and you just take 5 or 6 aubergine and just peel them and chop them and add them to a bit of yogurt, or tahini, and a bit of pomegranate molasses,
Yeah.
garlic, and lemon. What else do you want?
People are going, yum, yes, yes.
Exactly.
But we wish you all the very best of luck with your book, Palestine, and it's going to be published in America, isn't it, next month?
Yeah, we delayed the publication, and now we moved it 1 month earlier because people kind of want to
They're
buy a
cooking.
new cookbook and cook, and they're trying the recipe, and it's amazing how here in Europe there are people cooking for me. I lost you for a minute.
Brilliant. Yeah, a message came up that someone's using my, but don't worry about it. Can I just ask you, Otto Lengi, are you doing any deliveries, any thing like that,
We
or are you shut?
No, we are starting in Notting Hill and Islington in the next few days. We're gonna be doing deliveries, and also people can just come in and buy already packed food.
Oh, that's
But
such good news.
yeah, it's a new thing that we decided to do, and we still kind of reconsidering how to do it and what's the best way. Because our customers and our staff are very, very important to us, and we don't
I
want to
can
kind of risk that.
I can imagine. So they can go online and order, or they can go to either Islington or Notting Hill Gate, and they can stand outside and you'll
It's
talk to
best
them.
if they go online and get all the details and call Notting Hill or Islington branch, and they will tell them what's available and how
Yeah.
they can order it and everything. So they will basically give them all the information.
That's a great thing to know. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for sharing that. Now,
Thank
I
you.
did ask you before if you would share with us one of your foodie inspirations. And I actually said to Sami, a film, a TV, a chef, a book. He said, don't ask me a film. I haven't got time, which I loved that
Actually,
answer.
after we talked about it, I just remember the last film I saw. It was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Tarantino. It's not.
Okay.
It's not related to food, unfortunately.
No, it's not. So share. People just love a foodie share? I know we've got your book and your other books, but
Yeah.
is there someone that you look up to or something that you've really enjoyed?
I like lately. I like Anisa Helu.
Oh,
Um, it's called Feast, um, Food of the Islamic World.
okay.
It's a fascinating book. Um, I also love Food of Morocco by Paula Wolford. It's really, really kind of interesting. It's a huge book, and she goes in depth with the whole kind of Morocco and the food.
I think that's where the way books are going, is that they're sort of entwined with stories and history
Well,
about
you
the
have
food.
all sorts, yeah, but people want to have a little bit of background and stories and a bit more in depth and
Yeah,
where and how, and not
yeah.
just kind of, okay, I made this recipe. But you have also books where people just cook from in their own kitchen and they don't really travel, and they're selling really well. So
Yeah, but now we're not traveling so much. We might all want to go traveling with our
now,
cookery book.
yeah, people do want to kind of go on a journey. It's not just cooking the recipes, but also reading about the place and the regions, and
Yeah, yeah.
their.
Can I just ask you one last question? Someone's just turned around and said, when will you open a branch in New York? You don't have to answer that. I just thought I'd answer.
Well,
It's
it's a different market. I mean, I said earlier, like, we
yeah,
don't know if we be able to or not. But you never know. I'm
yes.
not gonna say no. It's just at the moment it
No,
doesn't look like.
exactly. Who knows?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting time we're all living in. But listen, I want to say a big, big thank you for joining us. You've been absolutely brilliant. People love you. They love your food. And we all love your new book that you've brought out called Palestine. And thank you very much, Sami, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, people, buy Palestine first of all. It's not an ad, but it's a really good read as well. It's not just about the recipes. It's very, very interesting. And we hear quite a lot of kind of bad press around Palestine and Israel. But actually, when you start reading, you realize how wonderful this place, and people are really, really friendly, passionate, and they want to cook and they want to welcome you with.
Oh, we've lost you. What's going on? We've lost you. Yeah, you've come
Yeah,
back.
just for
Hello.
a second. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
everyone should buy it. And I must admit, my favorite food TV program ever was Jerusalem, where Otter Yotam went back there and met people and told stories. It was absolutely a gem. I can't believe they don't put it on once a month.
yeah. I mean, they should. I think it's a very fascinating journey he did, and he
Mm,
went to all of my favorite places in the city.
yeah, yeah. One
He,
person just asked quickly, when you make your labanel, what do you do with your whey?
you can use it to tenderize meat, like if you do a big chunk of meat and you want to, or chicken, you can add it to that, to the marination. It's quite good in that. Um, but I won't keep it for too long because it gets off. So you just have to kind of, the way it's just kind of
There
get
we
a
are.
bit
That's a
smelly.
lovely answer for you. So thank you. Thank you very much again. And all order your book today because I think it's going to be great. And we're going to meet Tara in a couple of days' time. So we'll hear her side of
Ooh,
making the book, which is very
yes,
exciting.
yes. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for having me and have a
Thank
lovely
you.
evening.
Stay safe. Stay well. Thank you.
You too. Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Bye.
Bye.